Hello friends, welcome to the lecture of functional analysis. In the last lecture we have started the concept of conjugate operator and how in detail we have seen that how a conjugate operator is operated on a functional and later it is operated on a vector. For this we'll just recall the previous concepts and we will continue in the today's lecture, right? So just have a look on the theorem. A definition of conjugate operator we have seen in the last lecture. We will just recall and then we will complete the theorem which we have left incompleted in the last one, right? Therefore here the conjugate operator T star of T is a mapping from n star to n star into n star and is defined as T star of F is equal T star operated on F operated on X is F of T of X. And this is what a detailed explanation I have shown you how the conjugate operator is going to work. Then we have moved towards the theorem. Okay, there are many points to prove actually in the theorem itself, right? So just let us. Okay, therefore this is a theorem which we want to prove that if T is a continuous linear transformation of a non-linear space n into itself, then T star is defined as T star is a mapping from n star to n star defined by T star of F operated on X is F of T of X for all F in n star and for all X in n. Then we want to prove that T star is a continuous linear transformation on n star. The mapping T to T star is given by phi from Bn to Bn star. Bn is actually collection of all bounded linear transformations defined on n. That of Bn star is collection of all bounded linear transformation defined on n star. The mapping is defined as phi of T is equal to T star and we want to prove that this is an isometric isomorphism. Third step, we want to prove that this conjugate operator T star reverses the product and preserves the identity transformation. Among these 4 points, first point we have proved already that T star defined as a conjugate operator is a continuous linear transformation on n star. Also, one more point we have proved the value of norm T. This we have completed. Let us come to in the step 2 we have proved norm T is equals to norm T star with the help of definition of operator norm. Okay, now we'll come to the third step. Now here we will continue our today's lecture. In the third step our aim is to prove that the mapping phi is an isometric isomorphism. Therefore I'll write this as a step number 3. Now the aim in this step is to prove that phi defined from Bn to Bn star is an isometric isomorphism. Isometric isomorphism, and this previous step will help us to prove the result, right? Now in order to prove that this is an isometric isomorphism, how many points one should verify? One should verify for isomorphism first the mapping is 1 1 and linear, right? The mapping is 1 1 and linear. With 1 1 and linearity it becomes isomorphism. In in group theory we are proving homomorphism, no? But in vector spaces linearity works as homomorphism. Therefore to prove isomorphism we have to prove these two properties, 1 1 and linearity, and no doubt third step we want to prove is isometry. Okay, now again we know the mapping defined is phi of T is equal to T star for all T in collection of all bounded linear transformation B of n. Okay. Now let us go for proving the points one by one. First aim we will try to prove that the mapping phi is linear. Therefore to prove that phi is linear. Now to prove linearity what should we do? We should start with any two operators B in B of n and let alpha beta be any scalars belongs to K or scalars. K is the field, either real or complex field. Therefore, let me consider the phi image of the scalar multiplication alpha t plus beta u. But we know by the definition this is simply alpha t plus beta u star. Now we cannot proceed further with these many steps because we know that this is a conjugate operator, and according to the definition, conjugate operator should be operated on a functional first. Later, the composition should work on a vector. For this, again, we will start with an arbitrary. Here we will take, since f is an arbitrary functional and arbitrary vector. Okay, since f is arbitrary functional. Functional means what? This f is no doubt a member of n star. Okay. Therefore, what we will do? We will operate this right side conjugate operator alpha t plus beta u star on a functional first, and later this composition should work on a vector. Right. Now, what definition says? Let me change the color of my pencil to show you what is the definition. If T star is a conjugate operator operated on a functional, later the composition is operated on a vector, it is defined as f of T of x. Right? Therefore, let us use the definition in order to prove the result. Therefore, this is worked out as, therefore, here I'll write. Okay, therefore, this is, may I write f of alpha t plus beta u operated on x. Right? This is by definition. This is by definition. Now, how this f is going to work? As f is a functional, means it is linear. Or first, we can operate this by using a pointwise operation, right? How can we operate this? This is operated as f of. This function we will operate on x first. Therefore, shall I write this is alpha into t of x plus beta into u of x. Okay, which definition we have used? T dot u operated on x is t of u of x. Okay, this is what we have used. Next step, now we will operate f on these, and knowing f is linear, we can use the linearity to write alpha into f of t of x plus beta into f of u of x. Reason f is linear, as we are saying it is a functional, means it should be linear. Therefore, this is alpha f of t of x. Now we will write this f of t of x as t star f operated on x. Is that fine? I'm just using this definition, right? T star f operated on x. Similarly, here we will write u star f operated on x. Combinedly, one can say, or this alpha t star of f, we can say combinedly, this is alpha t star f operated on x. Later, this is beta u star f operated on x. Which definition we are using? Pointwise operation of scalar multiplication. That is alpha t operated on x is alpha into t of x. Here we have the situation alpha into t of x. Therefore, we are writing this as alpha t operated on x. Right. Now, as x is arbitrary, we can combine this again as alpha t star f plus beta u star f operated on x. Which definition we have used? Pointwise addition. Let me write again. If t plus s are operated on x, one can write this as t of x plus s of x. Here we have a situation t of x plus s of x, and in this step we are writing it as t plus s operated on x. Right? Now, since x is arbitrary, let us remove x from both the sides. Actually, we have started with alpha t plus beta u bracket star first operated on f, and then this combination is operated on x, and we have obtained it as alpha t star f plus beta u star f operated on x. Now, since x is arbitrary, therefore we can equate the mappings on both the sides, right? Let me just insert the pages. Yeah, I have inserted the pages. Just let us go to the page where we are. Here we are, right? Therefore, now as x is arbitrary, what one can do? As x is arbitrary, instead of removing, we will equate the functions on both the sides. Therefore, this is alpha t plus beta u bracket star operated on f is equals to what we have obtained is equals to, this is alpha t star operated on f plus beta u star operated on f, equating the functions on both the sides. Okay, therefore again let us look at this. Here we can observe f is arbitrary. Alpha t star f, we can write alpha t star operated on f plus beta u star operated on f. Which definition I am saying? This point. Alpha t operated on x is alpha into t of x. Here we have alpha into t of x, that we are writing alpha t in operated on x, right? Therefore, here again by using that pointwise operation of addition, in case of addition, this is alpha t star plus beta u star operated on f. To the left we have alpha t plus beta u bracket star operated on arbitrary function. Now again f is also arbitrary. F is arbitrary functional. Therefore, for the arbitrary functional, both the operators have the same images. Therefore, the operators are same. Therefore, one can write alpha t plus beta u bracket star is equal to alpha t star plus beta u star. Okay. Now, what this star are? These are the phi images. Therefore, one can get very easily. This is phi of alpha t plus beta u is equals to alpha into phi of t plus beta into phi of u. Therefore, this says that the mapping phi is linear. The mapping phi is linear. Now we will go to the next point, proving the mapping is 1, 1. Proving the mapping is 1, 1. Claim 2, should I write? Claim 2, to prove that phi is 1, 1. To prove that phi is 1, 1, what we will do? We will start with the equating two phi images. Therefore, shall I write? Let phi of t is equals to phi of u for some t and u belongs to the domain V of n. Okay, next step. Here we can write as t star, right? Here we can write as t star. Here we can write as u star, right? Next step we can write it as t star minus u star is equals to 0. But just now we have seen that this is linear. Therefore, for if I keep some particular values of alpha and beta, alpha 1, beta minus 1, the right side will be t star minus u star and is equated to t minus u bracket star. Therefore, knowing linear, we can write this is t minus u bracket star is equal to 0, right? Now, what can I do? Let me consider norm. Norm of t minus u star is equal to 0. Now, in step number 3, what we have proved? Norm t star is equals to norm of t. Therefore, shall I write here? Norm of t minus u is equal to 0. Reason here is by step number not 3 actually, this is by step 2, norm t is equals to norm of t star. Therefore, norm of t minus u is equals to 0, it gives you t minus u is equals to 0 and hence it is t is equals to u. Then we have started with equating the phi images, phi t is equals to phi u, and we have obtained this is t is equal to u. Shall I zoom out? I hope it is visible. Therefore, here we have obtained phi is 1, 1. Therefore, two steps we have proved that phi is 1, 1 and phi is linear as well, right? I will make it to fit to screen. That is better. Yes, phi is 1, 1. Third, we want to prove that phi is an isometry. To prove that phi is an isometry. What is isometry? Should I prove? Actually, we want to prove that norm of phi of t is equal to norm of t. Okay, let us consider. What is norm of phi of t? Norm of phi of t is norm of T star. But this we have proved already is equal to norm T by step 2. By step 2. Therefore, all the three conditions we have verified. Thus, phi satisfies linearity, 1-1 property and isometry as well. Therefore, phi is an isometric isomorphism. Phi is an isometric isomorphism. Okay, step number 2 we have completed. Step number 2, instead of step 2, point number 2 in the theorem we have completed. Now we'll go to next step number 4. Now in this step we want to prove that the mapping T star, conjugate mapping, this phi reverses product. Reverses product. Okay, next let us start. If it reverses the product means what? We want to prove that the order of the product will get changed if you find the conjugate. Therefore, let us start. Let me consider a product TU and we will find its conjugate, that is TU star. Okay, therefore what shall I write? This is pi image of TU. That will be better. Okay, now our aim is to prove that this becomes this reverses the product, means this will continue as U star T star. Okay, let us start. Now TU star is a conjugate operator. We cannot go further as it is. Therefore, let us operate this conjugate operated on a functional and later it is operated on a vector. And how it is going to be defined? This is F of TU operated on X. Right? Just I am using the definition of a conjugate operator. Right? Therefore, this is F of. How this TU operated on X will be operated? This is T of U of X. T of U of X. Now, no doubt T and U both are the mappings from N to N. Therefore, if you start any event X in N, its T image will go in N, U image will also go in N itself. Therefore, T operated on U of X. This U of X is nothing but an element in N itself. Therefore, now let me use the definition in a reverse way. Let me consider this as some vector, and how the definition used in a reverse manner. This is a T star of F, and this combinedly operated on U of X. Combinedly operated on. Try to understand. This is just a definition. If you are getting confused, you can start with this as F of T of Y, some Y. Okay, then how it is operated? This is T star F operated on Y. Right? Same I am using here. But T star F operated on U of X. Now put this as one function. Okay, and this is operated on U of X. Therefore, assuming this as a one mapping, we will use this definition again, and it will be U star of T star F operated on X. Okay, therefore using the definitions of pointwise operation, this U star T star is operated on F and operated on X. Okay, now F and X both are arbitrary. Therefore, we will get TU operated, TU star is U star into T star. Therefore, this star operation reverses the product. Therefore, one can say that the mapping phi reverses the product. Here I can write, thus phi of TU is equals to TU bracket star is obtained as U star into T star, which is phi of U into phi of T. Therefore, the order is getting reversed. Let us come to the last step of the proof, that we want to prove that phi preserves identity transformation. Preserves identity transformation means there is no effect of the conjugate operation on the identity, that is I star is equals to I. This we want to show. Okay, therefore let us start with if I is an identity transformation, okay, on N. Now we will define I star, and once I define I star will be operated on a functional. Later this combination is operated on a vector, and by the definition this is F of I of X. But as I is identity, may I write this as simply f of x? If it is f of x, can I write this as a composition if operated on x? Because the composition if will work as I into f of x, and I into f of x is f of x itself. Now let us equate the operators since x is arbitrary. Therefore, may I say as x and f both are arbitrary, we will get I star is equals to I. Hence, phi of I is equals to I star is equals to I. Thus, phi preserves identity transformation, right? Because there is no change on I as a conjugate operator. Okay. In our exam, it is not expected that this big theorem will be asked combinedly. This theorem can be asked by dividing itself. That is, one can prove, one can ask first step as one theorem, second step another theorem, and so on. So one can divide it. No? And though it is being divided, it is very easy to prove. Okay. Now we will go to a next theorem to find out the inverse of the conjugate operator. This next theorem gives an idea about that. Therefore, we'll write the statement of the theorem first. Let T be an operator. T be an operator on Banach space B. Then prove that. What to prove that? T has an inverse. T has an inverse. We will denote the inverse by T, this symbol. If and only if T star has an inverse. T star has an inverse. T star bracket inverse. Okay. And what we want to prove? Inverse of this T star is nothing but conjugate of T inverse. Okay, we try to understand the theorem. We want to prove that T has inverse if and only if T star has an inverse. One point is very clear. And in the second step, we want to prove that inverse of conjugate is conjugate of inverse. T star inverse is T inverse star. Okay, so let us start the proof. We know the fact T has an inverse. T has an inverse if and only if. What if and only? We know what are the conditions for the existence of inverse. If we find a mapping such that T inverse, T into T inverse or T inverse into T is equals to identity. Let me call it as statement number 1. Now, just now we have proved if we take a conjugate operator, then this is going to reverse the product and preserves the identity transformation. Therefore, from statement number 1, we take conjugate. Okay, what will happen if we take a conjugate? T dot T inverse star is equals to T inverse dot T bracket star is equals to I star. Okay, now let us make use of the previous theorem. Star reverses the product, preserves the identity transformation. So if it is going to reverse the product, then how it will work? T inverse star into T star. Right now I have changed the order, and here it is T star into T inverse its star. And what is the value of I star? This is I. Now look at this equation very carefully. T star into this mapping to the left, T star into the same mapping on the right gives us the identity. Therefore, one can say this is inverse of T star. Therefore, may I say inverse exists. And what is the inverse? T star inverse is this, which is T inverse star, that is conjugate of T inverse. Therefore, we have proved both the statements simultaneously, that T inverse or inverse of T star exists. Inverse of T star exists and is equal to, and E is equals to, what is the inverse? This is T inverse star. Okay, very easy theorem to prove. Okay, now in the next theorem we will prove some of the properties regarding addition and all, right? So for the next theorem, we will prove. Okay, theorem 1 say. First we want to prove T1 plus T2 star is equals to T1 star plus T2 star. Okay, we will prove. Very easy statement to prove, but one thing we should keep in mind, conjugate operator should be operated on a functional first, then on a vector. Therefore, we will consider accordingly. This is T1 plus T2 operated on star is operated on a functional, and later this combinedly operated on a vector x. Okay, next what definition says? This is f of T1 plus T2 operated on x. Definition. I think you have remembered the definition till now. Now let us make use of pointwise operation. This is T1x plus T2x. Okay, knowing f linear, this is f of T1 of x plus f of T2 of x. Why? Because f is linear. Now f of T1 of x, I can write T1 star f operated on x plus f of T2 of x, I can write T2 star f operated on x. Right? Now s of x plus t of x, we can write s plus t. Therefore, this is T1 star f plus T2 star f combinedly operated on a vector x. To the left, we have T1 plus T2 star operated on f combinedly operated on x. Right. Next step, what we will consider, as x is an arbitrary operator, we can equate the functions on both the sides. Therefore, this is T1 plus T2 bracket star operated on f is equals to T1 star f plus T2 star f. T1 star f plus T2 star f. Now, this T1 star f plus T2 star f, one can write as T1 star plus T2 star operated on f. Okay, why? Very similar to this. F1x plus F2x is written as F1 plus F2 operated on x. Very similar to this, I have written the statement here. Now again f is arbitrary, one can combine, one can equate the operator. Therefore T1 plus T2 star is T1 star plus T2 star. Okay, hence the proof. What is the reason here? F is arbitrary. F is arbitrary. Okay, now next result is regarding the scalar multiplication. Number 2 I will write alpha t operated on star is equal to alpha into t star. Okay, let us start again considering alpha t star operated on f first, later it is operated on a vector x. Then definition says that this is f of alpha t operated on x. Okay, now how this operation is defined? Alpha t operated on x is alpha into t of x. But as f is linear, this is alpha into f of t of x. Therefore, f of t of x is nothing but t star f operated on x. T star f operated alpha t star f operated on x. Now alpha t star operated on x, one can write as alpha t star f and combinedly operated on x, which result I am using alpha f operated on x is alpha into f of x. This statement is similar, same as alpha f of x, and we have written as alpha f operated on x. Again to the left we have alpha t star operated on f operated on x. Again, since x is arbitrary, equating the functionals on both the sides. This is alpha t operated on star operated on f is equals to alpha t star operated on f. Again, since f is arbitrary, alpha t operated on alpha t star is equals to alpha into T star, alpha into T star. Okay. Next, third point to prove is S composition T dot or small zero circle one can draw. S composition T star is T star dot A star. Okay. Therefore, this is actually we have proved in the statement itself. Therefore, I'll keep this for the homework because this is simply the mapping phi is going to reverse the product, reverses the composition. Okay, therefore this is what today we have completed the point of conjugate operator. Now we remain only with one important theorem in the Banach spaces, that uniform boundedness theorem. Okay, now we know the boundedness property, but we are not unaware about uniform boundedness. Therefore, in the next lecture, we will try to understand what is uniform boundedness, and we will also try to prove what is uniform boundedness principle. Actually, this principle was proved by the pair of mathematicians Stefan Banach and Hugo Stenhouse. That's why the theorem is also known as Banach-Stenhouse theorem. Okay, so thank you for watching today's lecture. Thank you.